I've spoken with Jana Simashkevich. She is an associate director at RBC. RBC is one of the big banking institutions in Canada. She manages a team of developers and quality assurance analysts working on a trading platform for the bank. Jana focused her career a lot around data and database development, but eventually she progressed in her career and she got promoted to where she is right now. We discussed how she became a manager and what you should do if you want to progress on your career as well. She also has quite a lot of experience in hiring, so we got a lot of tips around how to nail an interview. Have a listen to this conversation to understand why you first work for your name and then your name works for you. Hello, Ederson Oliveira here. This is the Solo Coder podcast, where I talk to people, to professionals that have a connection to coding. Maybe they still code in their current jobs, in their current careers. Maybe they used to do that and they still work with people that know code. And I think that's where our guest today is. Her name is Jana Simashkevich. Jana, did I get it right?
Yes, perfect. Better than most people. It's a long one, I know. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time for doing this. So, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Jana, and I'm not gonna say my last name. You already mentioned it. So, and I'm currently working at RBC Capital Markets. I am associate director with fixed income and currencies technology. And I've been in this role for about two years, two and a bit. But I've been moving around within RBC quite a bit. I think this is my third role within RBC. And I started in, I think it was 2010. So it's been 9 years, which is quite a journey. And I'm managing a small team of developers and QA analysts. And together we maintain and support a trading platform for money market business. It's an in-house built trading system that it's quite old, but it's still loved and adored by our business users. So they don't want to let it go. And but I'm also, this is like my kind of immediate team, but we're also part of a bigger global trade management team, which is led by my manager who's based in New York. And we're mostly in a business of post-trade processing. So it's kind of like very fast-paced, very high visibility. If something doesn't work, it's very critical, it needs to be fixed right away type of business.
Got it. Awesome. I really love that intro there. Now, when I saw where you were working and your title, I got a little bit confused. I just thought, is she still, working in the technical field? So you are, but let's backtrack a little bit. So right now, correct me if I'm wrong, but right now you are not hands-on with the technical details, are you?
Yeah, I'm not hands-on, but I do a little bit of when it comes to database development, because that's where my comfort zone is. That's where most of my career I've been working with databases and data visualizations and stuff like that. So whenever there is a chance to do any of that work, I jump in and I do that. But most of our applications are very heavy, like on Java. So, and that's not something I have a lot of experience with. So we have a lot of good technical people within the team that are very strong in Java. So I let them do their work.
Got it. Okay. So what I would like to do, Jana, is in a way go backwards here. So you mentioned where you are right now. Let's work a little bit backwards here. How did you get to the position that you are right now? What was your previous assignment position in RBC?
Yeah, so prior to moving to this role, I worked in another team, which is shared services and reporting team. So we were kind of a horizontal layer within the organization. So we were serving a lot of business lines, and we were providing them with like regulatory and compliance applications with reporting, so stuff like that. So basically, we didn't have a dedicated business line like currently I am in fixed income and currencies. So when I was in my previous role, we were kind of serving like all business lines within the organization. And in there, I was also doing a lot of database development. Then I kind of moved to like a team lead role where I was just mostly overseeing people and like guiding them. We were like doing like mostly like planning of our releases, making sure we're on target, making sure we are also taking into account all the compliance and regulatory items that need to be delivered, and also like with all the infrastructure upgrades to make sure we are compliant with all the RBC policies and stuff like that. So it's kind of like managing more or less kind of like a small portfolio of applications and making sure everything is on track.
Got it. Got it. So let me ask you this. In a way, you moved from a more hands-on type of position to a more managerial position. Did you welcome this change?
I still to this day, I occasionally have that imposter syndrome when I'm thinking like, what the heck am I doing with these managing these Java developers? When because I heard like this is like the worst fear of developers when the manager doesn't code. So but I don't know. I've had good feedback. I think the team likes me, and I think it's like on a high level, I still am technical enough to understand what's right, what's wrong, if we're moving in the right direction. So it's I think it's been good, but I do miss the. I do feel like I'm getting like stale, and I feel like I'm getting outdated. Like that feeling that you feel like a dinosaur, that you're so old. So I do not like that feeling. So but it's so hard to find time to keep up to date with all these technologies. It's so overwhelming. Like every day there is something new coming out. It's like, yeah, it's like I don't know how other people are managing once they start having like families, and you have to balance your like career and your family life, and there's not enough hours in a day when you can actually also work on your professional growth as well and development.
Well, I can tell you this. Basically, you forget about kids, and you just let the other partner to try to grow them.
Yeah. They just grow themselves.
Yes, yes, they just grow themselves, and we feed them, and but that's it. Jana, again, that's good. That's good. I just want to go a little bit deeper there, because here's what I'm curious, and again, I'm trying to put myself into someone listening to this conversation here. So you transition from, again, hands-on to a not so much hands-on, more managerial type of position. Uh, how did you what did you do, and how did you position yourself to be able to get this opportunity? I mean, what did you do that you got it, and not John, not somebody else in the team?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, the role found me. I didn't seek out to get the role. So my previous manager, she actually reached out to me because when I was in my previous team, we worked closely together because we were kind of like the middle layer between the front office and the settlement systems. So we were processing a lot of trade data as well, but just from a different, like a little bit more down the road. So we were interacting a lot between the front office kind of teams and the back office teams. So I think she just liked my work ethic. She liked to work with me. And then when an opportunity came, I think the previous person who was managing the team, they left the bank, and she reached out to me and asked if I would be interested in joining the team. And initially at first I said no because I was very comfortable where I was, and I just told her like I'm not sure I want this, and then she kind of convinced me, and I decided to try it out, and so I've been here for the last 2 years now.
You know what? You mentioned there the role found you, but let me tell you, very few things happen by accident, Jana. And I think that you mentioned something very interesting there, which is the so your previous manager, she or he had a good, a good impression from you. So she or he knew your work ethics. So that's it. That's what you did there. You worked with
Yeah,
ethics.
yeah.
What else beyond the ethics that you think that made an impression to your previous manager?
I think it's also like I'm a type of person that if somebody asks me to do something and I think it makes sense, I will do it, even if it's maybe outside of my regular job. And so that's why when they were working on this big project, there was a big impact on our team. And I was kind of very helpful in terms of like analysis that we did on our side, which we didn't really have to do for them. But I thought it would benefit our team as well to do this kind of dive in and do this in-depth analysis, because we had so many processes, so many services that, and a lot of them we didn't have good documentation. So I thought this is perfect chance for us to actually go into every single process of our own and document and understand what exactly we're doing. So this kind of like organized our team as well. So we kind of placed ourselves where we right away when people were asking us questions like how does this field, for example, is being used, or how is this field being transformed down the road, we knew right away because we've done all this analysis. Where prior to all that exercise, we kind of had, every time somebody asked us something, we had to go open the code, try digging around, seeing like what's the flow, and it took more time and people didn't like this. So once we organized ourselves in this way, so it became kind of like easier, and the team, like I remember team members were saying that it just got easier to work, and it was just, we saved a lot of time, and it was just more pleasant and less, we started having less production issues because as soon as something happened, we knew right away to which process we need to go to address the issue. So, and I think that's why she liked, because I was kind of proactive in doing this analysis for them, but also for us. So, and it kind of worked for both teams. So I think that's one of the reasons that she like reached out to me, because of that.
You know what? You said there a keyword, a very important keyword, Jana, being proactive. You know, it's hard to find that trait, So if you are listening to this, one key takeaway from here, forget about all the technology that sometimes we talk about. Really proactive, being proactive. And the other thing that I think that highlights there, Jana, is going beyond and above. You went and your team went beyond and above what has been asked for. So again, all of those components, they are building a good impression about yourself with your manager.
Yes, I agree. And it's not just like, it's kind of like thinking, not just thinking about like today, right now, I'm too busy to do this, but like kind of try to think like bigger picture, think how this will help you. Even if right away it's going to be hard, it's going to be a lot of work, but just try to like imagine how this will help you in the long run, how this will make it easier for everyone around you. So
Awesome. I like the big picture there. Jana, I just want to move on here to one point that I have on my list here. Uh, as in all professions, there are some good things, some bad things. There are some nice stories, some positive things, and not so good ones. So I want to see if you are able to share, if something comes to mind when I say, tell me a horror story. If it might be horrible, it might be just funny, it might be just something that you wish it would have happened in a different way. But in the context of your profession, of your work, maybe a past experience, there for sure past experience, do you have any horror stories to share with us?
Yeah, I think anytime you have a production issue, it's a horror story. When, especially when it's costing the business money, and yeah, those are like, I don't like talking about those. But yeah, I remember we had, when I was before working at RBC, I worked for another company called Eloqua, which was in the business of marketing automation. It was like a SaaS platform for marketers, and we had a lot of they had a lot of clients at that time. I think we were like a multi-tenant platform. We had, I think, over close to 40 servers, and there was like, I don't remember how many clients, but and clients varied in size. There were some smaller clients, some bigger clients. So I remember we had one of our biggest clients was VMware, and they had these huge campaigns that they were running, and they were like send these massive email campaigns to everyone. And that's what Eloqua was doing. They were like automating this, and then they were like tracking the clicks and all this activity and like the response rate and stuff like that. And I remember every time it was like our horror, like every time VMware prepared for like a online campaign or something, we had to like be on a lookout to watch that the servers is in a healthy condition, that everything is going smoothly, because they could take down the whole server just by themselves. And I just remember that it was funny because we had a Halloween party, and I dressed up. I still remember their client ID number was 524, and I dressed up. I just put like a white T-shirt, and I wrote their ID number, and I just put a bunch of like green line as like CPU going crazy and like IO going insane. And my manager, she just loved that costume. I think they gave me like an award for best costume that Halloween.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So that was just like, it's just kind of like horror and funny at the same time, because it was just how like one client kept us on our toes. And
you know what? I think that you answered this question in a very smart way, because you did mess around with your current employer, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway,
current production issues are not, they don't seem funny yet. Maybe like in a couple of years.
I get it. Okay, good. So from this horror story, Jana, that you just shared, are there any lessons learned from that?
Yeah, it was, we learned a lot of, I remember that client was, because they had such high volumes, it was our kind of, the benchmark of all our performance tests. And every time we would put something in production, I remember we would test on their specific database. I mean, not the production one, like, but a copy. We would like run our scripts on their volumes to make sure that whatever we're putting in new in production will be scalable for them. So it was a kind of good and bad. It was like you could never predict when something bad would happen, but you also could use that data and use their use cases to grow and make your application better, to like adjust and tweak and make improvements in performance wise and stuff like that.
Got it. So again, go through the experience, learn, and then improve as you go along.
Exactly. Yes, it's like a cycle. It never stops.
I get it. Very good. So okay, great. So share a little bit of a horror story with us. That's fine. As if I understand correctly, in the current position that you are, Jana, you have some hiring to do there as well. Is that correct? Do you hire for your team?
Yeah, we've been hiring. Last year, we've been hiring more. This year, we're quite stable. We're not doing any more hiring. We're also going through a bit of restructuring internally, so everything is kind of on hold because we don't know what's going to happen. So, but yeah, in prior years, I had to hire quite a few people. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so I want to dig a little bit deeper into that aspect of your role there, because a lot of people that will be watching this, they are either beginners, they might be starting their careers, or they might want to change their careers to something else. So again, I want to pick your brain a little bit about hiring, and more specifically about. And I as an instructor, I have so many students coming to me and say, "But Ederson, this company here is asking me to have all of those, to have all of this qualification here." And again, just think about the soup of technologies, the soup of letters. You have to know Java, you have to know database, you have to know front end, you have to be full stack, you have to be, JavaScript and this and that, and the list goes on and on. Let me ask you that. Well, first, maybe this is not your reality there, but if it's similar to that in your scenarios there, are you really looking for someone with that much of a comprehensive knowledge base? Is that, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so when we were hiring, we would usually go through, because in our space, we do need people to be like strong Java developers. So we would like drill people, like we would have an interview where like we would have a couple of Java team leads, and then they would like drill them on all the Java related stuff to Java, where like, because we need to have people to know, like, to be familiar with like multi-threading and like low latency coding. So and have experience in this kind of field with like where you're processing large amounts of data quickly. And but I'm also looking at how people behave during the interview. Like, how are they tackling the problem? Because even if you don't know the answer to a question, it's more important also to see the process. How are you thinking? If you, during the interview, if you just close up and say, I don't know, then it doesn't give me as a hiring manager any insight into what are you thinking. So it's always good to kind of like rephrase the question, like ask it from a different angle, try to get more data, see if you can kind of walk through your thought process so that people at least understand that there is like gears turning in your head when you're thinking about this question, and not just like either yes, I know, or no, I don't know. Because sometimes even if you don't know the answer, but if you kind of talking about it and you like on the right path, you're like thinking in a correct way, like you're applying your like logical thinking, then it's very good at least to hear that than to hear just like I don't know answer.
Got it. Again, that's great takeaway, Jana, and thank you for that. I mean, it's not just about whether or not you know, but how you think through it. What's your thought process there, and be able to voice that, to demonstrate that you can find, even if you don't have all the information or all the answer, but you can find the answer, and again, be open to that. I love that.
Yeah, and also like sometimes even our like people from my team, for example, they would even ask a question, and like they've been working with this technology and with this particular problem for so long. To them, it seems like straightforward, but it's just like I also like when people kind of try to get more information out of like they're not. It's like I feel like interview it's kind of like a two-way. It's not only you answering the question. You should also be asking questions and get the interviewer to also to give you answers and kind of like extract more data from them.
That's great too. I mean, again, don't just listen to it, but actually ask more questions, probe the interviewer for more information, and that on its own will be helpful towards the outcome, isn't it?
Yes.
Awesome. I had a point here about nailing an interview, how to nail an interview, but I think that's the pointers that you mentioned really would help to, if not nail, but get very close to that,
Yeah, and also like I think I told you that story how I got my first job. I think that will be helpful to the to the students, because when I graduated in I think it was 2004 from Ryerson, I didn't know that students actually starting looking for jobs earlier. I started looking maybe like in May, but a lot of people started looking in January, February timeframe. So it's like, and now that I'm working at RBC, I'm also helping with new grad and co-op recruitment and hiring. And I know that we hire people for summer co-op placements, we hire them in winter. So it's just like being proactive and knowing when people are hiring also is very important. So, but back to my stories, when I was looking for job, it seemed like a lot of placements were already taken by the time I started looking in May. And I had a really hard time finding anything. I had a few interviews, but like all of them were like either with a really, really difficult technical test that I obviously couldn't pass. And some of them were like, they didn't want to pay money. They were offering stock options because they were like startup companies. And I felt like I needed money to start paying off my loans. So it just kind of wasn't working out. So it took me almost 6 months to find something. And the way I think it's just like I got so frustrated that when during my interview with the WSI, I felt like the interview went well. And I was so excited to hear back from the hiring manager. And then when like 2 days passed, 3 days passed, nothing came out of it. I called him myself and I asked him for like the status update. Please tell me, give me some feedback. What's happening? And then he asked me a few more questions during the phone call. And he asked me about the OLAP, the online analytical processing tool. And I had no idea what it was, but I tried to convince him that I'm a fast learner, that I can learn it. And so after we talked, I hung up the phone and I did like a little Google research for like about half an hour. And then I called him back again. I was like, here's what I learned in an hour. Please hire me. I'll be great. You're not going to regret this. And then he ended up giving me an offer. And so I kind of like basically forced him to hire me because I was so persistent and I showed, I guess, initiative and that I am interested in the role. So, and it worked out. I worked for that company for about 2 years and I learned a ton in that role. So I'm just like, sometimes like when you get frustrated, then when you actually start acting.
You know, I mean, you're so right there, Jana. And it's yet one more scenario, more situation that you show to that being proactive pays off, you know. I mean, you didn't sit down and just waited for that call, you know. You went after that. You went after the hiring manager. You called them. You follow up. You insisted that yes, I'm right for this job, and again, you got it, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just like if, especially if it's a role that you really like and you really see yourself growing in that role and you feel like you have the right skill set or you can learn the right skill set quickly, then I feel like you should go after it. And because I feel like the attitude and if you have the passion, I think that's like 90% you're there. Because I've had people also like working with me who were like really knowledgeable, really technical, really amazing, like really, really good, like skilled and great at their like specific like tech stack, but they didn't have not the passion, like the ownership, you know, like they didn't like I, I would say like somewhat like unreliable when like it's the type of personality when it's like, oh, it's 5 o'clock, but there's a fire, but I don't care because I'm gonna go home. It's not my fire. So it's this kind of like, this is what I'm looking in people when I hire. It's like it's a person where I can rely on these people, that I know that if something goes wrong, they will be by my side and we'll like solve this issue.
But it's not common to find those, is it, Jana?
Yes, it's really hard. It's really hard to find good people. Yeah, so when you have good people in your team, you like, it's very important to make sure like you keep them happy and they feel like they are in a place where they can grow and they can learn and they can advance their careers as well, so they don't feel stuck.
Got it. Jenna, before I get to our final segment here, I want to drill a little bit deeper into the database part of your career there, because I know, and again, we know each other from that time back in 2005, 2004, and I knew you as a database professional. So, just briefly, why database?
I don't know. It's just I feel like that's where I felt like more like my comfort zone, and I just enjoyed working with data. Yeah, because I feel like in a WSI role, we had an option to work on various, like we could work on the business layer, we could work on the front, like on the GUI side, and but for some reason I always like enjoyed working with data, and I feel like data gives you so much insight into your application. It's whenever there is an issue or something, I always go to the database. Let me check if this is like a common thing, or let me check if this is like. I feel like like looking at the database and the data, it will give you so much more information than, at least for me, than going through the code. And it's just like, and also my dad, maybe there was some kind of influence. My dad also works with databases. He's like a data architect, and so maybe it was a little bit of genes passed on to me. I don't know.
Got it. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Good one. Okay. Okay, so if you were to start today with database, if you are interested, inclined towards that, Jana, I mean, would you have any recommendation for someone more inclined towards that field?
Oh, now it's like a completely different landscape. It's there's so much going on with like there's all these like SQL, NoSQL, data lakes. There's so much going on, and that's why I feel so overwhelmed. It's just like I would say just try to get exposure to as many different tools and don't get stuck in one place. I always recommend to the new grads in RBC to try different jobs. Don't go like, even if RBC gives you an offer again, like try to explore, do like different companies, see what's out there, because I feel like once you get older, you kind of get stuck, and it's really hard. It's a lot harder to get out of your comfort zone than when you're younger. It's just, I remember even myself when I was just starting, I was jumping jobs like every 2, 3, 4 years. But now I've been with RBC for like 9 years, and I feel like it would be so hard to get to another place. It's just like I think it's something to do with age.
I get it. I get it. That's great. That's great. Thanks for that. So, Jen, I'd like to transition to what I would call our fireside chat. The idea is that I'm gonna ask a few questions. You don't need to make them too long of an answer. The idea is to make it quick and simple, and that's close to our wrapping up. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. So first one is about salary. Salary, yeah. I mean, my goodness, he's gonna ask her about salary. Yes, but here's the is the easy out. I'm asking for a professional, maybe a professional in your level, maybe a professionals in your team. Can you give an idea of a range? Because if people are watching this, and I'm again putting myself in a position of someone that might be graduating, someone that might be maybe want to transition jobs, transition position, what are you comfortable with saying in terms of salary range of people, maybe from team members, maybe for yourself, but again, what are you comfortable with in terms of sharing, talking about this topic of salary,
Yeah, I think it's I know that new grads that usually join our program, I think they start with a base salary somewhere between 60, 70, I think. And then there is like all employees get like a base plus bonus. So bonus would depend on 3 factors of your own performance, the performance of the business line, and then the performance of the capital markets as a whole. So yeah, that's the base. And then as you grow in your career, like in the professional in my level somewhere, you can make anywhere between 100 and 150, I think, base salary plus bonus.
Awesome. Great. Next one here. Resource. Is there any maybe a book, maybe an author, maybe a site, something that you want to leave people, with that they can, I don't know, they can get inspired, or they can, that it can help in their careers.
Oh, I'm probably the worst at this, but I try to listen. I'm because I don't have as much time to read anymore, so I try to get all my content through listening lately. So I've been listening to this podcast, Software Engineering Daily, and but it's just, again, it's like the amount of content they pump out is just overwhelming, and it's like it covers all different technologies. So I just try to kind of skim and see what I'm interested in. So I try to listen to like a few. At some point, I remember I was really interested in cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, and I was like just fascinated listening to their podcast and how like there's these various groups are fighting over different design, and it's just like, I don't know. Even though I'm still don't know much about it, but it's just like was very interested for me to listen to it. So and at work we also have some RBCs trying to encourage people to like keep learning and keep growing. So we have some I think plural site where you can go, and it's like training courses. You can read, you can listen like videos about different topics that you enjoy. Like, yeah, but I am pretty bad at keeping up to date.
Oh, that's great. Again, you shared there two resources, very good one. I love that. Next one here. If you were starting again today in your career, in your job, I mean, what would you do differently?
Oh, that's a good question. Um,
One thing that you wish you could do different.
I would probably not quit Eloqua.
Okay, why? Why?
Yeah, because but that was kind of like mid career. But I think that was like one of my worst decisions, because after I left Eloqua, a couple of years later they went public, and Oracle bought them for like close to like 1 billion, and a lot of people made a lot of money fast.
Okay, okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, no, but yeah, but that's something it's like hard to know. But I think if I had to start over, I don't know, I probably wouldn't change a lot.
That's good.
Just
That's
like
good.
find more time to keep growing professionally, because in this technology field we have to always keep going. We can't relax.
Awesome. No, that's okay. That's okay. That's great. How does a day in your profession looks like?
So a day in my usual day starts with obviously going through the emails, seeing if any issues. We started doing like we're trying to adopt the whole agile process. So we're doing our daily stand up in the morning every morning. So that's like where the team we all give an update, what we've been working on the previous day, what are we working on today, what are we planning to do tomorrow, what are our roadblocks, any issues. So, and then it's kind of there would be like meetings, a lot of kind of like internal within the team. We would plan our, like if we're in the middle of the next release cycle, we would be planning the scope of the release and making sure everyone is on the same page. It's kind of a lot of, yeah, like a lot of managing the time and team, and making sure that everyone is on the same page and moving towards the same common goal.
Good. Okay, great. How about one advice for someone starting out?
I think I would give an advice like the same. Like I think this is the best advice I got but not even in like my career. It was started in elementary school. I remember my math teacher. She said something that stuck with me, and she said, "First you work for your name, and then your name works for you." So it's just like, again, like being proactive, being seeing the big picture, not like sharing the knowledge, not like hoarding any knowledge, just training people. Like the more you give, the more comes back. So just kind of like that.
I love that. The more you give, the more comes back. Love that.
Yeah.
Okay, last one here in our fireside chat. What's next in your career?
I don't know. If you asked this question a year ago, I would say that I'm quitting RBC, and me and my husband are buying a winery. And because that was our, I think my husband had a midlife crisis last year, and that was our plan, but that fell through. So we're back in our office jobs. Next for me, I think I want to take, I do want to take maybe some time, like, I don't know, maybe part-time or full-time. I don't know. I do want to go back to doing some courses because I feel like instructor-led class courses work better for me, for my time, like for my schedule. So I would love to do that, to do some training in like maybe it would probably be geared towards data, probably like some data science courses, maybe learn some Python, R, like do just kind of like update my inventory skill set, and just so like I'm so that I'm like staying up to date with technologies.
Jana, again, I could not ask for a better answer here. That's great. I really, really like that. We are wrapping up. And before I let you go, I just want to see if anyone has any questions. Maybe someone wants to reach out and ask you something. Are you open to share a contact information that I could post in the show notes?
Yes, definitely. You can always shoot me an email. I think you have my email address. It's jsimashk@gmail.com. And yeah, I'll be happy to answer any questions or if I can help in any way.
That's great. Actually, here's the thing. I may take you up on that help you anyway, because we are always looking to find placements for our students. So I may contact you in the future,
Yeah. We actually, RBC has a great program where we hire new grads, and it's a 18-month program where they get to rotate between 2 or 3 placements within the RBC, so that they get some exposure to different roles, different teams, and then they end up choosing the one they like the most, where they see they're the best fit for. And it's a really great program. They send our new grad students to New York for 2 weeks for training, where they get 1 week business training, 1 week technical training. And it's like a great little community. They keep in touch. They have they always like have these outings and all these like social events for them. And yeah, I love that program. And I've been helping out with hiring because we've been struggling getting an equal number of men and women. So we've been trying to help to kind of reach out, so we've been kind of doing like a more personalized approach to get women at least to apply to our program so that we have more applicants. So we've been going on campus and trying to reach out in like different like ways. But yeah, that's something that's happening at the RBC. So yeah, if you have good students that are strong and technically and have great personalities, we would love to hear from them.
Our students are not good, they are awesome.
Awesome. That's
Jana,
awesome.
Again, Jana, thank you so much. Again, it was so juicy here. There's so many takeaways that we can take away from this conversation. I really appreciate your time, your willingness to share all that you have shared with us. So again, thank you very much, and I hope that we can catch up in in the near future.
Okay, yeah, it was nice talking to you as well, catching up. Long time no talk. Yeah, so hopefully we can chat again soon.